The subject of this video is running efficient meetings. Grab your coffee and let's get started. If you're tired of running and attending meetings that result in nothing, you're in the right place. Running a meeting is a mix of a process, experience, and a tool set, or multiple tool sets. In this video, I will give you some best practices and settings for Teams, whiteboards, and PowerPoint that'll help improve your meetings. A successful culture will have mentoring, training, and a supportive culture. The meetings in a company such as this will be very productive, proactive, and efficient. If you're in a company where they're complaining and bitching about the company all the time, you have my sympathy. A clear purpose will help guide your meeting. I know this sounds like motherhood, but if you don't have a clear purpose for the meeting, then people will tend to wander. So are you trying to get a decision? Are you trying to distribute information, collect feedback? So in your agenda, which I would create within Teams, I would have the item, who's presenting or talking, the facilitation method, the duration, and use the timer in whiteboard. So here's an example. In Outlook, creating an agenda and being very specific about what the conversation is on that particular item, who's talking, the duration, and use the timer in whiteboard to make sure that you stay on track in your meeting and you end up with any gorillas, you can keep them under control. Who to invite? It depends on the objective of the meeting. So are you looking to obtain a decision? If you are, you need the decision maker and you need the people that can answer the decision maker's questions, the people that with the information. If you're going to distribute information, you want the presenter and you want the people that are going to be presented to and receive the information. Anyone else will be a distraction. You don't want 40 people on your meeting. Anything over 5 or 10 people is just not manageable. The gorilla, the showboater, the person that just doesn't know when to shut up when their amount of time is up. Using the timer in whiteboard, you can measure the amount of time a person is speaking. You tell them how much time they have for their subject. You have to remain professional. If things do get out of control and you're in a virtual meeting, you can use mute in Teams or you can remove them. If you're in a face-to-face, you can just ask for the person to be professional, and you may have to be very stern, but never lose your temper with these people. It'll just make you look bad. Don't go down that hole. The silent expert is someone that has a lot of expertise but isn't very outspoken, maybe introverted. Your job is to identify these people, get them into your meeting so that you can leverage their expertise, give them some time on the agenda. When it comes to documentation, I'm a big fan of surfacing the information using lists within Teams and SharePoint. So I would create a list for actions, a list for issues, a list for risks and decisions and attendance. I wouldn't want to bury these documents inside of Office documents in a library. I would do that only if there are people attending the meeting that cannot access Teams because of my company policies and locking down external access. Here are some examples of lists I've created so that the action items, the issues, the risks, the decisions are visible within the team space and easy to get to. For tools, I recommend Teams and Whiteboard and PowerPoint. So Teams, you know, your AV, collaboration, whiteboard, brainstorming, a timer, PowerPoint, obviously, presenting and having people focus. So with Teams, here are the settings I recommend. There's a link in the video comments that goes through the settings. I also recommend a good headphone, microphone, and some good lighting for the presenter. On the whiteboard, tablet and a pen, use the timer. It can help, with people putting their ideas on the board and getting people to join in the conversation. With PowerPoints, take a course. You don't want to tell stories. You want to use large fonts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So going into Teams, here's where you can find the settings. So if you fire up your meeting, you go into the meeting settings. You can go in, you can set, who can bypass the lobby. With this setting, every time someone wants to join, you'll have to approve them. This will give you an opportunity to control who's joining the meeting. You'll know when people are joining. Also here, who can present. You want to make sure that you're controlling who's presenting, especially in a large meeting where it's a little riskier, depending on the audience and the content that you're presenting, that sort of thing. So from an audio perspective, I recommend a really good mic. You can get by with a cheap mic. I would not use the mic in the laptop. It sounds tinny and echoey. So here I'm selecting my settings for my audio. I use an audio interface with a Sennheiser Mark IV. I also have a Zoom shotgun mic that I use depending on what I'm going to be presenting with. And when I'm mobile, I use my iPhone with the earbuds, and that seems to work very well as long as it's in a quiet area. So these are the general settings. If we go in, we can make sure recording's enabled. So again, make sure you've checked with your privacy laws. And what we can do now is we can go in and we can add a whiteboard. So the whiteboard is great for a timer. You can present diagrams to spur conversation. You can get those silent experts to join in with their tablet and pen to get their ideas on the whiteboard. It's a great way to help focus the conversation, keep people going. It just creates a more spontaneous, cohesive meeting where people are actually engaged. If it's just death by PowerPoint, people are going to disengage after a few minutes and probably play with their PS5 or play with their dog or something. To close out the meeting, you want to make sure that everyone agrees on the outcomes, any action items assigned, any decisions made. If there's anything left on the table that needs to be addressed, it's documented, assigned, and there's a date. You may also want to get a peer review on your documentation. To wrap up, there are several books and there's many videos on how to operate these tools and how to run meetings. If you're a project manager, you're familiar with the PMBOK, which also provides guidance. Don't be afraid to experiment, take courses, and always be learning. Click like and subscribe. Thanks.